First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
I want to go to someone we've not spoken to in a while, and he's had a little while off at least our radio airwaves, but he's back. Who would that person be? Anybody want to guess?
Angelo.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Angelo. Who is it? The
Peter
one and
Franklin.
only Peter Franklin.
Oh!
Cabby. And he's on the line now. Good morning, Peter. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Live from the streets of New York, which are starting to look a little bit normal. So I'm not as despondent as I probably was the last time I spoke to you.
Well, listen, it was when we spoke, we felt your pain because, it was the greatest city on earth, and all of a sudden everything had just changed, and it was tough to watch. But you're saying that things are beginning to come back to some normalcy.
Yeah, it is. It really is. The biggest problem we're going to face now is that the people that are running for mayor are terrible. But they're really, they're not going to make an improvement. But New York is so large, so complex, so many different parts to it that it's kind of will blumble along and get better. The important thing is that, of course, the same problem for you guys up there is whether or not we're going to have another pandemic.
Boy, I certainly hope we don't, right? I mean, but you're looking at, I was watching the news last night, and there was this one place in somewhere around the world, around the country. I don't even know where it was, but they had, they'd said 2 weeks ago, we had only one COVID patient. And now we have 155 people in the hospital.
Wow.
Where is that?
In 2 weeks. I forgot where it was. And But you know what? A lot of these people, Peter, are non-vaccinated. And I think the New York, especially New York City, is very well vaccinated. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, well, it's easy to get places. Remember, for one thing, we don't deal with mud. We have sidewalks.
Right.
So, you can just come downstairs in the elevator and walk someplace. And also, I think New Yorkers are very much used to it because, for years we've been taking the flu shot and this shot and that shot.
Right.
So going out and getting a shot is not such a big deal. And, of course, it's such an easy thing. You guys got to go out to the driveway. You got to get the car. It becomes a whole production. With us, it doesn't.
Yeah. I heard from somebody just recently that was down in the city that said it was the streets had a lot of people once again. People were moving about, and it seemed normal. There were times like when we would go to visit my daughter last year that we'd be walking on the streets, and it would just, in places that were normally crowded, it would just be us on a block walking down the street, and that's kind of a little bit scary because
it's even scarier.
Yeah, you want people there. You don't want to be sitting out there on your own.
I'd like somebody to witness my assault.
That's right.
That's always been the strength of New York City, and one of the reasons New York City has always been safe until we lost our minds. But the fact of the matter is that that's what makes for your safety, that there's people on the streets. And, of course, what's happening is that any kind of crime we're having now is highlighted every day. I mean, if we pick up the morning papers today, somebody got robbed, somebody this.
Well, we have you breaking up just a little bit. How about your cab work? How long, Peter, because I've had a lot of people asking this question, before you'll be doing your tours once again?
I'm not really sure. I'm not doing any. I do certain commercial things, and not the average tour. And the reason for that is that the city isn't really straightened out yet, and I don't want to have the added possibilities of having the added responsibility of taking care of a family who's spending a couple of days in New York City, and will have some unique things. So just for the moment, I'm kind of like retired, which is why if you pass me on the street, I would look very old. I'd have a cane and a walker, gray hair, lots of wrinkle, no teeth. You say, "Oh, that's Peter."
There he is. There goes Peter. We'll throw this at you, and I'm glad to know that we're going to be talking to you, hopefully on a weekly basis again. But on this mayor's race, we had a former cop that was on the air yesterday that said there's one guy. Do you remember the name that he had? I forgot what it was.
Eric, you take
Adams.
Adams.
You're talking about the New Jersey guy, right?
Is he a
running
New Jersey
for New
guy?
York City mayor, though?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the point. I'm being sarcastic.
Oh, okay.
He lives in New Jersey.
Oh, interesting.
Of course it's interesting. And the other thing that's interesting is that he left the police department under mysterious circumstances.
Okay, so the reason why the former cop likes this guy is because he's a former cop. I didn't know that.
That's it, but he's terrible.
Okay.
What they got to do, if they want to straighten out the crime in New York City, you got to get a guy named Kelly back, who I don't think will come back. Who was a great
he was the
commissioner.
best. Yeah.
He worked under Giuliani, and he did a good job. His son, by the way, he happens to be your competition because he's in the talk show business. But we can like him anyway.
And what about Giuliani's son? He's been thinking about running for governor. What do you think of that?
I hope I hope he does it. I think he has a good chance because genetically he's sort of conservative and law and order guy, and most of us end up being a lot like our fathers.
Yeah,
you know
true.
that faithful morning. Remember the morning you got up and you looked in the mirror in the bathroom and there was your father?
I do. I do.
Yeah.
I think I do. Yeah.
And genetically,
I saw it when we were on vacation, walking through the airport, watching families. Yeah. It's unbelievable how people look alike.
Even the wife and husband.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's like shocking, and I'm sure they're looking at us saying the same thing, but it's incredible.
But genetically, Giuliani, he's got his father's teeth. I swear, I see the picture, and I just think he's got his father's teeth.
And if you remember, Peter, he was the one that was kind of mocking during the swearing-in ceremony as a kid. You remember that?
Yeah.
Or, he was climbing on top of him.
Yeah. Something. So.
See, my wife blames this whole pandemic thing on me because what I used to complain about is that New York City is a wonderful place. It just had too many people.
Well,
and she claims that when I said that, the guards and controllers will hurt it, and that's why we ran into the pandemic. So maybe if I keep saying it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay, it'll come back.
It's going to be okay. And I think you're right. I think things are starting to come back. Let's hope it stays that way, Peter. It's so great to talk to you, and we'll try to do this again next week.
You take care. Bye.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. Peter Franklin is the Gabby Cabby. It's Gabby.com is his website. And I think the world of Peter. I've been talking to him since, for God's sakes, I was a kid in radio. Like years and years ago, I was speaking to him every week. And then when we kind of lost track of him.
Well, one day the website was down. His numbers were deactivated. I couldn't get in touch with him.
He just said, I'm done with it. I'm done. But now I spoke with him a couple of weeks ago, and he said, I think I'm back. And not completely. He's still retired, I think, but he's back talking, which is a good thing.